Hello everyone, my name is Andy Casada. I'm a Special Event Program Assistant. Today we're going to be going over the volleyball setup in the North Gym. In the North Gym, all of our equipment, if it's badminton, volleyball, etc., will be located in this store. And it is opened up with the facility supervisor key. So before you start your shift, make sure to pick up your key. Once opened, you can find all the volleyball equipment that you'll need for today's setup, which will be 2 green pads, 2 red antennas, 1 volleyball net, and 2 volleyball poles. Regarding setup in the North Gym for volleyball, there are 3 courts you can set volleyball on. For each one of the volleyball poles, you will have to take this cap off, which you can do with any key, if it's a house key, if it's a supervisor key, and you reveal the pole sleeve, where the volleyball pole will go in. To ensure you set up the volleyball pole correctly, make sure that the outer part, if it's the hook or the crank, is pointed outwards, and that the little dish is either stored right next to the pole, which will later be covered by the green pad, or you can put the dish back in the North Gym storage. Really quickly, I want to show you how it should look like on this side as well. The crank should be pointed outwards so that when we hook our volleyball net, it is easy to crank it up and tightened. When you're setting up the volleyball poles in the North Gym, the most important thing you need to remember, because we've had accidents in the past, is that these metal beams are not supported by springs. What am I trying to say? So, this knob, this silver chrome knob, is what keeps this up. If I loosen this, it falls. Now, that didn't look major, didn't look crazy, but when you have the metal beam pulled all the way up here, and it's tightened, it'll stay up. Now, what's happened in the past? People will hold the volleyball pole here, and then they'll loosen. What tends to happen? Let's say the grip slips, boom, this just falls down. And because this is old, it'll fall down pretty fast, and it'll crush your thumb. So, when raising or lowering the volleyball pole, always remember, don't keep your thumb here, always keep your hand up high. If you can't reach, there are colorful ladders that we have in the North Gym that allow you to reach a certain height. Now, once you've reached your desired height, you will then tighten the knob to the right. Remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey, and your net is good to go. Now, before you raise the volleyball pole, you need to remember that the volleyball net needs to be latched on. Not all of us are 6'5", so it is best to latch the net on first and then raise the pole, which I'll show you in the next clip. To ensure you always have your volleyball net set up correctly, the top should have labels and should have markings, letters, etc., and the bottom should just be white. So when setting up the volleyball net, don't put it upside down. You will notice it once you see the ropes that are attached on each side, because on the top end, you will have long ropes that are meant to be cranked up and meant to be tightened on the hooks and the cranks of the volleyball poles. After you rolled out your volleyball net, make sure you find the top part of the volleyball net and find the long rope that's attached. Once you find this long rope, make sure to run it through the wheel that's at the top of your volleyball pole and hook it to the bottom piece. Now, depending on which pole you're doing, it'll look different. So on this pole, it's just a normal hook. On this side, when hooking the volleyball net, you'll notice that the rope has to hook on, still on the wheel, and onto the hook that's on the crank. Now, once we start cranking this will start picking up, and this is how we pick up the net. A piece of equipment that can also be found in the equipment room, which is imperative to use for this volleyball net, is this blue crank attachment. Without this attachment, you cannot lower or raise the volleyball net. As you can tell by the square piece, it perfectly goes into the crank, and by going to the left, you will loosen the net. And by going to the right, you will tighten the net. Now, you need to make sure that at the beginning of your shift, this crank is present in the North Gym storage, and at the end of your shift, it is back where it belongs. We have lost 2 already, and this is our last one. If we were to lose this, we cannot set up any volleyball nets. Righty, so now you've seen the clip of me setting up the volleyball net. Now, important things to keep in mind. 1, the volleyball net will shift side to side when taking down, putting up, setting up, whatever the case is. Just know as you're tightening it, you can shift the net over like I was doing throughout the clip. 2, when cranking up this net, it has to be tight, absolutely tight. The one thing you want to avoid are for the volleyball poles to cave in completely. Ideally, they should be straight up, but because of physics, the higher it is and the more tension that you put on the volleyball net, the more it's going to lean in. So there is such a thing as over-tightening it, and the crank has a warning describing that. But a lot of volleyball players and volleyball teams need the net to be completely tight, and also it's easier to set up when it is tight. So make sure that there's no dip, there's no U coming into the middle, it is a straight line across. You will notice that now that the top rope is latched on and connected, there are these secondary ropes on the side. These ropes are meant just for the volleyball net to not come in and for you to tie them across the pole so that it is a straight rectangle. So you just have to tie these around the pole, make sure they're tight, and then go from there. After we tie the bottom rope to the volleyball pole, the next step will be to add this green cover. Now, this green cover has Velcro on it on both sides for you to wrap around. And like I said earlier in this video, the disc can be either placed right there next to the pole where the green cover covers it, or it can be put in the North Gym storage. Either way, we just want to ensure that this metal beam is protected as possible so that people playing volleyball don't run into it and maybe hurt themselves or etc. Our last step on setting up the volleyball nets is to put the antennas. Now, we have 3 different types of antennas. The easiest one to set up will be the Velcro one. Basically just a Velcro strap that you put around the net. Now, these other 2 have different mechanics. The other 2 will have a clip that clips onto the top part of the net, and then at the bottom they'll have a spinning piece where you'll clip the bottom of the net here, and then you'll spin it down and up to clamp the antenna together on the net. Now, the most important part is that the antenna must go over this white line. Why is it important? Because this marks the out of bounds for volleyball players. Now, each one of these antennas are different, but they kind of have the same purpose. This one has a clip on where the more you twist, the tighter this gets and it latches onto the net. And you can also twist it up through here. You can see the little arrow right here. Now, for the bottom of the net, you'll have this attachment as well as this ball. Or, I don't know if it's a ball, whatever shape this is. Which you can move up and down and allows you to latch onto the bottom. So, like I explained, you'll go right over the white line, latch it on, start twisting. So this tightens up. Once you have it really tight, now you can work on the bottom. Because now you can do whatever you want and this won't fall off. Well, make sure again that you're aligned with the bottom. What you're going to do now, spin this, make sure it's loose, and meet the net to the attachment. Once you get the net within this bottom piece, you will now start to screw or twist this bottom circle part down into the bottom piece, which will then help keep the antenna trapped where it belongs. Just keep going until you think it's pretty good, and voila! You have your antenna set up, and all you would have to do is set up on the other side as well. That's the North Gym volleyball setup over with. Please answer the quiz below with all the setup questions that go along with it. Thank you.